Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Imani Pullum about the Orville New Horizons on Hulu. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Orville is such a cool show. It was announced for a long time that it was finally coming back for all the fans for the new season, which is titled New Horizons and everything. There's a lot kind of happening. You do such a great job in this show. Your character has a really cool episode coming up as well. What can you tell us specifically about your character? What's it like playing this character specifically on the Orville New Horizons?
It's super exciting getting to play Topa. She's a teenage girl, she's got a lot going on, especially in the episode of Tale of Two Topas, because she's just learning a lot about herself and how she chooses to identify and just present herself. So it was fun going through that journey with her, and yeah, super cool character.
Big episode. When you were cast for this role, were you aware, did you get the scripts in time? Did you know this episode was going to be part of it?
I knew some of it, I got kind of a general description of what it was going to be about, but I didn't know to the extent of what I was going to have to do for the episode. Yeah. So it was really exciting though, getting to have such a great opportunity. So very thankful.
One of my favorite things about this show is the genre-bending component of it. Obviously it takes place in space, but the Orville has the sci-fi geek culture component, but it is like a comedy in a lot of ways, and it's funny and everything, and, pays homage to Star Trek. Did you notice that blend of the comedy and the sci-fi when you signed on to the project?
Yeah, so when I got the audition, I looked into the show because I wasn't super familiar with it before. So I, did a little research, watched a couple episodes, watched some clips on YouTube. So I kind of got the comedy aspect, but there's a lot of drama this season, which I love. And it's super exciting for me to be able to explore that, especially with Topa. So yeah, it's really exciting.
What's it like also being on a show on Hulu when there's a lot happening with Hulu right now? It's a great time for Hulu. Have you ever thought about that? It's pretty cool right now for Hulu.
Yeah, I haven't put too much thought into that, but I do love Hulu. I watch a ton of shows on Hulu, so it's super exciting to be a part, to work on such a cool network. So I love that.
There's a lot happening with a lot of characters on the show. How do you kind of prepare, not only for your character specifically, but just kind of being on a show like this where there is a lot happening and there are a lot of genres? What's that kind of mindset like for you, preparing yourself to be part of the Orville New Horizons?
Well, I tried not to think too much about it because I didn't want to get super in my head and throw myself off and just get worked up about every single aspect of the show, because it's such a huge thing and there's so much going on. So I was just thinking very presently of what Topa's thinking and the things that are happening in that moment, so I didn't get too worked up about everything. Yeah.
Is there anything you like the most about this character specifically, Topa? Is there anything that you like the most about her?
I love that Topa is interested in helping other people. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really beautiful thing, and she talks a little bit about that in the first episode about wanting to be commander to help others, even though she's got a lot going on internally. So I think that is really admirable that she's so willing to help people.
There's a lot of amazing actors and storytellers that work on the Orville New Horizons. Have you had a chance to get any advice from anyone on set? Has anyone given you any advice about anything specifically?
You know what? I
feel like it's just a learning experience just being on set, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I've learned so much. I went into the show knowing pretty much nothing about television, and especially because the Orville is such a huge scale production. Mm-hmm. So I learned so much about different shots, what they mean, and just the whole makeup process. I learned a lot about that. And yeah, just watching everyone work, and everyone was so willing to answer my questions. So I was so happy about that going into the Orville as a newcomer. and having people so receptive to answering my questions was really helpful.
How many hours in the makeup chair would you say it was?
Okay, so I think it was like 2 to 2.5 hours.
Was it a consistent 2.5 hours every time, or did it vary? I've always been interested in that. Like, was it a consistent like the same time for every time, basically?
Well, it kind of varied because my makeup artist, Todd McIntosh, he is so talented, by the way. Like, he was just really good at his job. And every time we would do it, he would aim to be a little bit quicker and get the makeup a little bit better, which, like, I don't know. I guess he has the eye for that, so he can like see that the things that need to be worked on. But I thought it looked perfect every time. So it was cool watching him work. But yeah, it started to get shorter and shorter because he was like very serious about, you know, improving upon his work, which was so cool.
So like, I'm really curious about this too, because like you're in the chair for 2 hours, right? Are you able, like, are you just chatting with people? Do you have to just be still? Are you able to watch anything? I'm just curious what that's like.
So I didn't watch anything. I did have conversations with people.
Okay.
I talked a lot to Todd.
Well, maybe you're not even able to watch anything. Maybe you have to just be like staying still for a little bit, right? Like putting a lot of prosthetics on.
Yeah, because I was getting like the makeup glued on me, and like we had like a cowl that was kind of like a helmet. The face piece was glued on, blow dried. I was getting airbrushed too, so I had to stay pretty still for that and keep my eyes closed and zip it. But I talked a lot to like all the makeup artists and Howard, who's the department head. So I got really close to them, and they're really a great team. And yeah, it's really cool.
So it's interesting because, you know, you talk about, you know, being on set, seeing the big scale production, the makeup and everything. Obviously, you're acting, you're a storyteller. We see you as Toba in Orville New Horizons on Hulu. But like being on set, does it kind of like inspire you or kind of motivate you to one day like go behind camera and like direct or produce, or is acting what you're kind of focusing on right now?
So currently I'm focusing mostly on acting, but I do hope that one day I get to like direct, because watching Seth and Jon, it was really inspiring seeing them just have so much control over what they were doing. And it just was super cool to watch that. So I'm interested in directing at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What was the reception been like so far about that episode, specifically from your family and friends?
Well, you know what? I didn't tell a whole lot of people that it was coming out because, one, I was a bit of a spoiler, so I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
And then, like, even when it came out, I don't know, I'm a little shy about, like, letting people know the stuff that I'm doing.
Well, it's tough because you really can't, with the day of social media, like, you can't really say anything because one little thing could just, like, come off as, like, a big spoiler, or sometimes even saying nothing could be a spoiler.
Yeah, so it's like a hard balance to figure that out. But because I went to the premiere a couple weeks before, didn't say a word about it, couldn't tell anyone. So I've been trying to keep it pretty hush hush about me being on the Orville. So yeah, I didn't tell a whole bunch of my family and friends, but a lot of them did watch it because I posted on my story that I was in it, and I've heard really great things. And I've been seeing a lot of tweets and getting a lot of DMs from fans of the show who've had really nice things to say to me. So I'm so grateful for that. And it's really nice to hear. I really am grateful. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Imani, thank you so much for coming on Pop Turd. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so the show is, you know, the Orville New Horizons, streaming on Hulu. They could check that out, which is awesome. Any social media people could keep update with? That, like, is there an Instagram account or?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Imani Pullum, IMANIPULLUM.
Awesome, I could check that out. Well, this has been Popturnative, youtube.com/Popturn for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Imani Pullum from the Orville New Horizons on Hulu, and Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popturnative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.